Got it. I'm completely muted, so you want me to go ahead and start chatting?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so I can check myself on mute. And everybody else mute them, so I'm now jumping up mute. Or what Stephen needs to introduce.
That's right. Stephen needs to say hello. He's our president. He needs to.
Okay.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right, good evening
Wait,
for
wait,
those.
wait. I'm going live on Facebook. Hang on. You could go and I'll tell you what, you go ahead and I'll just, I'll do on Facebook after. Okay.
Well, good evening. Thanks for those who were able to join in person and others of us like myself virtual. And for those of you who are going to end up watching this again later with the convenience, at your convenience and nice comfy environment on your on your couch or whatnot. So welcome to the March SGMP Capital Chapter meeting. We've got an excellent topic tonight on ethics from Ms. Harwick. We'll be hearing from her in just a few minutes. Go ahead and introduce everybody. My name is Stephen Hall, I'm the current president. Gabrielle.
I'm Gabrielle I'm the vice president of SGMP Florida Capital Chapter.
And James.
Hi, I'm James Moran, one of the past presidents, two presidents who moved.
All right, and Latrial, we'll let you do your intro when you start speaking in a few minutes. All right, well, one of the first things we're going to cover is Dr. Moran's going to talk to us about the upcoming elections. And then after that, he will turn it over to Latrial to give her presentation on ethics, and we'll have a chance for any other feedback at the end, as well as any other announcements and whatnot. So unless somebody has something else first, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Moran.
Thank you so very much, Mr. President. Again, I'm James Moran. I'm also serving in the capacity of your
It's really hard to hear him.
Actually, it's your own computer. If you could turn your volume. It's your
Well,
volume.
perhaps if
Turn
you
your
can
volume.
unmute and you can mute.
Unmute, but turn your speaker off. Technology, gotta love it.
I turned my speaker off.
Now you're good.
Okay.
See the difference?
Yeah, well, I had my speaker turned off the first time, but I thought everyone was going to turn theirs off. That's why. Then I turned my back on. So, all right, here we are. Part of what my responsibility is as the elections and nominations and elections officer is to open up the portal for members of SGMP to nominate individuals for a selection of officers or a slate of officers, if you will. And those slate of officers consist of or include the president, first vice president, second vice president, secretary, treasurer, and those are the elected officers. Other than that, officers other than that will be appointments. And also we have the pleasure of selecting directors to our board to work with the income administration. And so on our website, SGMP site for Florida Capital Chapter, there is a nominations form that is there. It actually read that the deadline was the 17th of the month, which is coming fast. But I've also made our regional director aware that we needed just a little bit more time to bring in more nominations for the various positions that I just mentioned just a moment ago. And so she's asking me on tomorrow after our meeting today, I made reference that we wouldn't have a meeting today, is then to turn in on tomorrow by the close of business, well, Thursday, close of business, the list of nominees for the slate for the year 2023, 24. And so we will sit tight and see what other nominations that may come our way. And if for some reason that we're unable to cover all of the offices, then I will ask for an extension to give us a little bit more time to seek out potential candidates for those open offices at that given time. However, our president as well as our vice presidents, plural, can get together and make a selection to appoint individuals that they see fit to be in those empty seats, which could be secretary, treasurer, and so forth. He or she would have that pleasure of doing that along with the administration that would have been selected at that particular time. Are there any questions of me?
When is the deadline?
The deadline for nomination will be this Thursday.
This Thursday.
This Thursday, close of business, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what I'm going to do, actually, I don't want to say that we not follow that deadline, but if for some reason that we're falling short, it is my intent to request an extension. Anyway, that's the direction I'd love to go. To give us a little bit more time. We did do that during previous elections when I was the nomination elections committee chair at that particular time. So it does work. Another thing that I was able to find out and would like to share, that if you served in any capacity in previous years because of COVID, there is a waiver that SGMP has given us. And with that being said, any individual that may have served in previous years, doesn't matter what term, that the opportunities are still open for them to serve. And so we look forward to taking advantage of that waiver so that we can continue to strengthen this particular chapter. That's all I have there. Are there other questions?
We do have on the survey a couple of people who are interested in serving, who have asked for more information. Where should we direct them so they can get more information about what the roles are and the responsibilities for those roles?
I think that's a very good question. If they are a member,
They are members so far.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. I would suggest, but I'll do one for
Okay.
them. If you respond back to them and have them to ask them to give me at least 24 hours. And what I will do, I'll go on the headquarters website, find the information, and get back to them. What I'm trying to do is, minimize the time doing that search if they're not familiar with the website and all of the links and pages that there may be. I will cut that search short and provide them the links to go directly to that information.
Thank
Which I
you.
think would be extremely helpful.
I think it will be too, because I think we have at least 2 people who are very interested who have not navigated through the national
Right.
website.
Yeah, so I'll do that this evening after our meeting, and then I'll talk together and get that information back to both you and President Wall.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next question.
You're interested in serving? Any questions that you have?
No, the main question has already been answered, so, which for me, what are the responsibilities, that the roles pertain to? So, as soon as I'm able to get that, I can make a decision.
Excellent. And there are some scholarship opportunities too, when you serve in a leadership role with SGMP, there are national scholarship opportunities to send you to conferences and in Washington DC and elsewhere. Yeah, so
Well, that makes it more attractive.
yeah, I thought it might. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
And you will enjoy both, Gabrielle and myself have the opportunities to take advantage. Take advantage. I never been to until my administration.
Yeah, our president, I think, have you taken advantage of any of the scholarships to attend any of the national meetings or anything? No, you haven't. Okay,
No, I haven't. The schedule never
Yes,
worked
you-
out.
okay. All right. Well,
That's all I have in that regard. And are you ready, man?
I am ready.
So I will share
Okay.
for the presentation.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Latrial Harwick. I am independent insurance adjuster for Pilot Catastrophe. And I am here today to talk to you about ethics. And I didn't want to do one of those plain or boring presentations. So this is about participating a little bit. So hopefully, as I ask questions, people will be ready to respond with something into. But we'll start off with our first slide, which is, what is ethics?
and should we answer?
Yes,
I mean,
what do you think ethics is?
I was always told it was doing the right thing even when nobody's looking.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
I would only agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. When no one's looking, and what I think advocate is also is making sure that what you are doing has no negative consequences. So if you're doing the right thing, then there would not be any negative consequences to you or the agency which you represent.
Okay, those are both very excellent answers. What I found the definition of ethics to be is moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Ethics affect how people make decisions and lead their lives. It is also concerned with what is good for individuals in society as a whole. Would everyone agree?
mhm,
So
definitely.
why do you think ethics is important?
I think it's important so that you would have a guide, if you will, a list of principles or some do's and don'ts, some laws, some policies, and some rites of passage, if you will, even in that.
Okay. Did anyone else have anything to add? Well, I think that ethics is what guides us to tell the truth, keep our promises, help someone in need. It fosters an environment of trust, ethical behavior, integrity, and excellence. So with that being said, then why do we need ethics?
That's right.
Yes, why do we need it?
Okay.
Mhm.
I can't.
Oh, I'm
I can
sorry.
see it.
I'll raise my hand a little higher for you. Why do we need ethics?
I see it this way. We need ethics again, as a guide. One example. There's a red sign out there as I approach Magnolia going to I-10. And it has 4 white letters, starting with S. That's to be. Stop.
Okay.
And as a guide for moving forward with traffic, and should I ignore it, then there is a consequence that I was talking about that earlier. Of course, it would be an injury either to me or that innocent person that is engaging in the traffic as well. And if we ignore ethics, in many instances, then it can cause issues for both individuals that are innocent and, issues for the guilty individual as well.
That's a good example. I think that we need ethics because it's a, as you mentioned, a guide. But without it, there will be lots of lawlessness, right? You think? You would never be able to trust a person, perhaps. People would not keep up with their commitments. Reputations, what would that matter if there's no guide to what's good and bad, what's right or wrong? So we need ethics to help us be able to determine what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, and to be able to do what's good and what's right. So let's talk about a few ethical principles.
Mhm.
So honesty, when you hear honesty, what does that mean to you? Anyone?
Have a moral character.
Thank you so much for, just where I know they live. Okay, perhaps, but when I think of honesty, I'm thinking of someone that's gonna tell the truth. And the reason why I'm not negating what you're saying, but there's another principle that I think
Okay.
more to moral.
Okay.
Integrity,
Mhm.
what does that say to you?
Being a person of your word, having
Good one.
high morals and character.
Or more consistently doing the right thing,
Mhm.
having integrity.
And
Go ahead.
I just let you, if I say that I'm going to do something, made a promise, and I need to keep my word, and that's important when it comes to integrity as well.
Same as for commitment, which is
Yeah.
my next one. Keeping your promise, fulfilling commitments that you made, absolutely. Loyalty. Man, why is
Well,
that ethical principle?
first thing that came to my mind, loyalty has a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Two-edged sword too.
Mhm.
You could be loyal to someone that doesn't follow ethical principles.
Mhm.
You see, and so in that, you have to add not only just loyalty to doing the right thing. Okay, but following the right principles, following a person with integrity and honesty,
All right,
like the other two principles that.
okay.
Because if you think about it, sorry, I can be a person that talks a lot.
Go ahead.
Just think about, well, let's say,
Mhm.
you can think about some of the, I'm thinking about movies. These criminals or this lawless nation or people that are in gangs or, the mob, thank you, I'm trying to think of a group. They are loyal to one another, they have principles, they have what they call integrity, but they are a group that believe in not following the law, but loyalty is the principle that they live by,
Okay.
you know.
Anyone else?
Let's hear from our president.
Right.
Yeah, let's hear from our president.
Sorry, I missed that. What?
Loyalty. As an ethical principle, what does that mean to you? Or what do you think of it?
Well, there it's a matter of beyond kind of keeping your commitment. It's to more, well, as James mentioned, it could be a person, but also could be the organization and doing what needs to be done for the further to the organization, often even when you don't have to.
Right. Okay, awesome.
Or the cause. It didn't. I said organization could be a cause or something like that.
Right. Well, I'd like to expand it a little further and say that it's also keeping someone's confidentiality. You know, if someone shares something with you, being able to be that person that they can go to and know that whatever they've spoken to you or given or told you is not gonna go further than you. Okay, let's move on to fairness.
Well,
Oh, there's an old adage now that goes with fairness.
okay. I'm a firm believer that Well, that I say in business, okay? And if that individual is doing a wonderful job, or he or she doing a great job, and other employees are doing, as a job that's equally fruitful, then, and when it comes out to dishing out promotions or financial rewards, if you will, that there should be some, should be equal across the board, you know. Is going to her a raise. Trail is doing a very good job. Let's give her a raise. And for those that are doing great things in their skill set, bringing great things, you know, to the table, should be given an opportunity to be given an award. And all of those that contribute to the organization should be able to be awarded as well. Just not, this is my board, this is my good friend. Let's see what I can do to rub their palms or give them an increase when there are others that should be awarded as well.
Well, I have fairness, in addition to what you're saying, as treating everyone the same, as I was saying, follow the old adage, treat others as the way you want to be treated. It's also giving everyone the same opportunity. So similar to what you were saying, Dr. Moran, you know, they're all doing great, then everybody should be rewarded for giving everyone the same opportunity. Caring. So I have treating others with concern for their well-being. Anybody has anything different or anywhere they'd like to add to caring?
I used to work, anybody else?
I love your story.
Such a great.
That was good.
I had a boss that I used to work for. He was one of my previous teams. He's no longer there. But what I appreciated about him was his sympathy, his love for family, and that if you came to him and said, you know, I worked late hours for the company and I really, you know, don't feel like coming in tomorrow because I worked 16 hours instead of just 8 hours. But this is the difference. He'd say, okay, don't worry about it. Don't come in tomorrow. And then on the other side of that, I worked with someone that I've shared that very same thought or message with. That individual would say, well, make sure you do the paperwork. Even though you work above and beyond the time, do a leave form so that the administration will know that you are away, that you're out. Well, you know, but that person, that boss has a discretion to allow you time away because of the work that you've done. We're talking about fairness again, even with the caring. But boss number one would seem like he was more, sympathetic, empathetic, and would help to know where you are, to feel the measure of your pain. And he was a great communicator as well. So, and every year he gave everybody in the office in his wing, $50 cash. Okay, here's $50 for you, $50 for you, $50 for you. And then we work remotely, as we, continue to do great things here.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you worked those 16 hours in, let's say, someone else in office, only did their usual 8 each day, do you feel that you should have gotten 50 more $50 more so than?
Nope, I do not.
Okay.
I do not. He was being fair,
Mhm.
and he was caring because we all work extremely hard on the floor at work time. We all work as a team, and if someone would not have gotten a 50, I wouldn't have felt bad about sharing what I had with you, because we have a very close team. Some of the folks are still there, even today.
Let's move on to respect.
Respect is everything, everything. Yes, you must respect others if you expect to be respected.
That's exactly. Right. Anybody else want to expound on respect being everything? No? Okay.
No, I understand.
Well, lawful. Dr. Rain already gave us an example of being lawful. He's stopping at a stop sign. You know, so that was a good example. Obeying laws. Excellence. What does that mean to you as an ethical person?
Being beyond reproach.
Yes, that's my words.
Striving for the best.
Right. Pursuing or doing your best at all times and all means.
Mhm.
Leadership. Oh, that's a good one.
I am a leader. I am a leadership coach.
Right.
Leadership is my thing. You are actually in the Leadership Development Center right now, those of you who are in person. Leadership is everything when it comes to positively influencing other people. That's what leadership is. It's
Be that
positively.
shining.
Exactly.
Reputation.
I think that's everything too.
Although sometimes people have reputations that are not deserved.
I was about to say.
Good and bad. They have
Yeah.
reputations that are not actually in line with who they are.
Well, in this case, I'm saying avoiding activities or words that might undermine the respect that others would have.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good.
That kind of different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
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 Owning up, fessing up when you mess up. Fess up when you mess up. I see it all the time. Actually, I was just talking with somebody today about this very ethical dilemma
Mhm.
of somebody who is an executive director of a large organization and does not do what they say and does not ever admit mistakes, which is a big part of accountability, is saying, you know what, I messed up. Yeah, I should, let me make things right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you found, and this is a question I'm posing to everyone, have you found that when somebody falls short in one of these principles, they kind of fall short in others? For instance, the guy with the accountability. So he doesn't have a whole lot of integrity, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Probably doesn't have a great reputation and.
Actually, a really good reputation. This is why I'm saying sometimes the reputations don't always match what's happening internally.
Mhm.
So the external reputation is very good, but internally, there's some serious turmoil. You've seen it. I know you've all seen it, right? These are people who are really good at putting on
Yeah, facade.
a facade to the outside world, and everyone thinks that they are
Great.
fantastic, and then you look internally and there are a lot of very concerning things happening. Morale is low, turnover is high, trust is not there because there's no integrity. But yet the external reputation, again, not well deserved, not well earned, is there.
Mhm.
So
Okay, can you think of any other ethical principles?
Mhm.
let's hear from our president. Oh, we have someone else who joined us too,
Yes, we do.
Rosemary. Let's hear from Rose. Yeah.
Like, I kind of came
Oh,
in
me too.
a little late, so I'm not real clear what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about ethics.
Yeah. Some of these.
Well, I knew the ethics was it, but I don't, you were round tabling something. I didn't get the,
Yeah, tell us where are we in this discussion?
So we are talking about ethical principles and we've kind of gone through about 12 of them. And we're at where I'd like to know if there are any other ethical principles that you can think of that were not included on this list. And there's no right or wrong answer.
I think
Would you
it's,
like to phone a friend?
it
I can
was a
be-
pretty comprehensive list, and some of them, are fairly, if you construe them broadly, encompass other things like leadership, for example. So I don't think I could add anything to it.
Okay.
There's timeliness,
Yeah.
could be one.
Yeah,
Mhm. Well, it can be part of the timeliness, yeah.
Well, even in a broader sense,
Mhm.
like I was talking about these,
Mhm.
I was trying to show these great
mhm,
coasters
mhm,
has a turtle on it. So what about the environment, being environmentally conscious,
mhm.
with climate change and.
Yeah.
So it's our responsibility to take care of this, I do, transparency.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I actually used the word transparency in discussing about this individual I mentioned earlier,
Okay.
who, externally has a great reputation, but internally it does not. And there's not a lot of transparency. Whenever something happens, there's no accountability, there's no, I messed up, there's no transparency about things that are happening that should
Mhm.
cause the person to say, yeah, here's what's really happening.
And communication.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I was talking with the company today. And the decisions were made at work without communicating with the stakeholders. In that regard. Because at a university, there is, certain levels of governance. So if you're a head of a department, and you work with your faculty and staff, then of course you're the head of that organization, but there's shared governance. And you should come to that group that you have a responsibility for or accountable to, and communicate with them your vision, what the needs is, what the discussion may have been, other than making a decision. And then when it's a bad feeling when you don't feel a part of the unit. When someone makes a decision that affects you, yet you're not included. So.
Okay, anyone else before we move on?
besides
No, pretty comprehensive.
Okay, well, let's talk about some ethical dilemmas. I have some, what would you do? Now, these examples are loosely based on real life. My real life in some way or another. And I'm just curious to hear, how you guys would have approached or what you may have done in these situations. Can you go to the next page? Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start.
I'll do it. Well, go ahead.
So what would you do? Your best friend Amy has always had your back. She is pledging a sorority and has not studied for her upcoming exam. Since you share a class, Amy asked to copy your answers. You have studied extra hard and expect to ace the exam. Will Amy ace the exam too? Anyone? Has anyone ever been in a situation similar to this?
Well, Amy's not gonna cover you Monday.
Right.
Oh, come on now. Let's get real.
Mhm.
But this is your best friend.
I don't
You're
care.
gonna say no?
No, doesn't matter. Nope.
They're not a best friend.
My best friend would not try to ruin my integrity. Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know some people who learn this hard.
Mhm.
That person should not be your best friend if they're, it's time to find new friends.
Right, exactly. They're there for a season.
Mhm.
Move on to the next one then.
Okay.
You are working on a project with a coworker. He is well connected in the industry and is highly thought of in the office. Lately, he hasn't been pulling his weight. You are aware that he's going through a difficult divorce. His lack of participation has caused you to have to work longer hours. When the project is completed, he suggests that he gives the presentation to the senior leadership team. He says it's the least he can do. Is it?
Yeah.
How would you?
Nope, not at all.
Yes, you have something to add, Steve?
I was gonna say that wouldn't fly.
Well, what would you say to him?
I would like to, obviously, there's a lot of particulars that could change the answer, but I would say, I've had a candid conversation with him before this point, discussing his lack of participation, and likely, depending on what it was, would have either asked that he remove himself or find someone else to replace him. If that wasn't an option, he would need to be honest with the higher ups on exactly who did what. And there may be a part for him in the presentation, but it will be understood, even if it's not overtly said in the presentation. It might be a private meeting before or after it, where it's understood the work that was done, and it would have been documented too.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. All right, let's move on to, unless anyone has anything else to add. Okay, well, let's go on to number 3. You ready to sign $150,000 contract with a food and beverage vendor for a company event. Your college friend has just landed a VP of sales position with a competing company and is under a lot of pressure to increase sales. He calls you and tells you his job may be on the line, and he asks you to sign the contract with his company. You know that his company is unable to fulfill one small item as outlined in the contract, but he also promises to help you with the purchase of a new boat. Either way, the contract has to be signed by tomorrow. Are you getting a new boat?
Nope.
Nope.
Mhm.
No new boat.
Mm-mm.
Not the council. I don't even know if that's the name of a boat. It's just how it is.
I know it's the name of a motorcycle.
Yes. Okay, so you're gonna go with the company that you know can fulfill all the contractual.
You'd be a fool. Even if the best friend could fulfill, that's a conflict of interest. And I've seen way too many examples of that, where
Yes.
somebody hires their best friend and then there are problems beyond just fulfilling. There are a lot of problems with those things.
Okay. Yes, like I said, this is looking based.
Mhm.
I'm seeing some of these things. All right, moving on. One of your customers, Sam, tells you that he is best friend with your company's VP of production and asks you for a discount on his order. Your boss okays the discount. On the other hand, your other customer, Sue, who is very loyal, by the way, places the exact same order as Sam. Do you offer Sue the hookup too?
Gotta ask Sue, or gotta ask the supervisor.
Say that again.
That's, you have to, well, presuming the boss has to okay it, would have to go to the boss and advocate for it, but it would be their decision.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you, Stephen. I would, fight for Sue as well. And we have to, I mean, our customers, are those that are called, well, I don't need to do that. They can promote your company, or they can do the walking and talking marquee, for your business, as a loyal customer. They bring in people by word of mouth. And just, if you just think about it, we're just sitting at a restaurant and someone, the manager goes above and beyond. They see that something, this just happened to me when I was in high school. When one of my attorney brothers was sitting at a restaurant, and we were not serving that. And so I said, "Oh, wait till they get the survey." But the manager, my fraternity brother, my good friend Willie, went and mentioned, he said, hey, we've been sitting for quite some time. No one has come to serve us. And so he came out, he apologized, he says, you know, because of this, usually, you know, we don't operate like this, but because of the issue, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and what would have been a fairly expensive meal ended up only costing us $20. And great customer service on the side of the management. So when the survey came, you know, it was a collaborative. It was such a beautiful of what it could have possibly been.
Right.
And so, yeah, I would have been an advocate for C.
Good. All right, next exercise, company policy forbids coworkers to become romantically involved. You run into a coworker out on a date with someone from another department. You are asked to not mention their date at the office. Will you mention it at the water cooler?
No,
No,
nope, nobody's business.
it's nobody's business. I agree.
Okay, that's
It's
interesting.
absolutely
So,
Oh, company policy forbids. I missed that part.
Oh.
I missed that part.
So then that's the question, are you more apt to follow the company's rules in this case, or lean toward, as you said, it's really not our business?
You might be jumping to assumptions here, just
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
out to, you know, their date. They might be having lunch or something.
Say, don't mention my date in the office. It's a little more, we're just hanging out.
Well, the answer to the question, will you mention at the water cooler, is absolutely not, because that's
Yeah.
gossip.
Right.
I think it would depend on your role.
Okay.
I think that if you were a top executive at the company, you would probably have an obligation to say something.
Yeah.
But if I were coworkers of theirs, personally, I would not say anything, because most companies don't have these policies anymore. They're antiquated policies.
Mhm.
Not that I would
Well, I think-
approve of it, but it's like, not, it's just none of my business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel the same way. It's not
And how
my
do you
business.
define coworker? I mean, if it's somebody dating from another department, I don't. Are they really a coworker?
Well,
Right.
within the same company, so, this came from a situation where they were within the same company, and the company had that policy across the board.
Mhm. Wow.
But moving on. Your best friend is the VP of of one of the companies with your firm does business. You take her out for lunch just to catch up on personal stuff, and you pick up a check. Do you declare this a business lunch and submit the receipt for reimbursement?
Hmm.
I
Nope.
haven't seen the end of one of those business lunches.
Yeah, I see that happening all the time too. People do that. They would say, for 5 seconds, let's talk
Uh-huh.
business.
Yeah.
So I can deem this a business lunch, knowing all along what the intent is,
Mhm.
which is the catch up on personal stuff. I wouldn't do it.
I would also definitely not do it.
Good answers. All right,
Next.
now, this is a real life situation now, that's me, so want to hear your feelings on this. Your boss tells you at an after work function that several of your colleagues will be laid off at the end of the quarter. He also mentions that you will be promoted, but that your good friend Bob will not be in the company. Do you tell Bob?
Probably knows his number, his days are numbered.
No, no.
I'm just kidding.
Bob was a star employee,
He was, okay,
but for whatever reason, just did not make the cut.
well, it goes back to some of those principles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, integrity, accountability,
But
confidentiality.
your boss or?
Well, no, to the, well, Because he or she had that conversation with me,
Mhm.
and I would hate for
Mhm. Yep.
but I would not, I'd have to step away from it. Yeah, I pray for Bob. That he can recover, from what's about to
But what,
drop.
well, how do you think Bob's gonna feel once the cuts are made and you've gotten promoted and Bob is no longer?
Well,
And that's your friend.
right, I can honestly say that I had nothing to do,
Mhm.
which I did.
Right.
Right.
I had nothing to do with his decision, and that's all I have to say.
And I personally am really big about confidentiality, so if the boss said, look, here's what's gonna happen, I don't think that it would be right. Now, what I could do is, as Bob was saying, I'm really getting tired of this company, I'd be like, actually, there's some really great opportunities out there right now, let me see if I can connect you with some of these opportunities. Matter of fact, they're paying more than here,
So
Just
that's
saying.
sort of the path that I took.
Mhm.
So I was the person that got the promotion and the boss had spoken to me.
Mm.
confidentially. And I had a very good friend who worked alongside me, and my boss wanted me to know that that friend was not going to be with the company in the quarter. So truthfully, knowing their financial situation, because this is a friend, so when it's your friend, you know more about them than just somebody that works with you.
Mhm.
So I knew that not having this job was going to be, that's a good way to put it, very devastating.
Mm.
And the person really loved what they did. So, I decided to have a conversation like, hey, you ever thought about doing anything else or working anywhere else? So they didn't take the hint. But after the layoffs occurred, they felt that I should have told them
Mhm.
or given them more information as to why I was suggesting that they.
How did they find that?
That's what I was gonna say. I wouldn't have said like, I already knew.
They didn't find out that I knew about it in advance, but they felt like I had to know something because I was promoted and. Oh, of course, but it didn't change them feeling that
Right,
somehow I should have given them more. And by me suggesting, hey, you might want to think about, that was the little bit of information that made them feel like I knew something. So it eventually came between the friendship. We still casually talk, but it's not like it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just because we're giving people nuggets of opportunity,
Mhm.
they shouldn't assume, there you go. You did that, so you just make an assumption. And then they were wounded, of course,
Right.
at the time. And folks, can say wrong things when we are.
And they knew that the boss and I had a very good friendship, so they felt like he would have told me in advance, which
Well,
what happened, but.
did the boss know that you and
Yeah,
Bob?
well, that's why
Mhm.
he said, I'm just letting you know, your friend's not going to be here.
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
okay,
I was like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
ooh,
Yeah.
so, yeah. it
Yeah,
was
good
good.
friend, Bob, yeah.
All right, and our last dilemma,
Okay.
this also just happened to me the other day too, it wasn't $500. It was quite a bit of money. You find a wallet with $500 in the owner's ID in a Walmart parking lot. Having been laid off from work, you could really use this money.
Mm-mm.
Do you go on a shopping spree?
Absolutely not.
No, I'm gonna tell you a story that happened in responding to the question. I was teaching a class in Bainbridge, Georgia. Bainbridge? Yeah, Georgia. No, it wasn't Bainbridge, it was Bluntstown. Okay. It was Bluntstown. I had gone to the bank, got taken some money out, that I had to head to my education class in the evening. Didn't have a chance to go home or put it away. So, long story short, when I was, I guess, digging in my pocket to grab my keys, the envelope of the funds, money fell out. I didn't know I was, focused on trying to get the class on time. And when the class was over, it was late that evening. And I reached in my pocket, couldn't find at all. But in the envelope, it had maybe my business card or some identifying information in it. That person who found it mailed the cash to me. Well, they could have just taken it.
Wow.
And in turn, what I did was sent them back a check, rewarding them for doing that when I knew they didn't have to, or I would have never known, who found it. And it was my mistake.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with that, if I saw the ID, I would have tracked them down. Yeah. And got it. I would probably put it in the bank. The $500 I would tell on some cash until I was able to find them and met them at the bank and gave them that $500 at a time.
So in my situation, I was leaving, so I live in downtown Jacksonville, and we have a homeless population that is in the area. And I was rushing out of my apartment, which is a gated or locked apartment, with security, rushing out, and I keep this little wallet, and I dropped the wallet. I had no idea that I had dropped the wallet. Until I later in the day, maybe 4 hours later, I'm in the grocery store and I'm like, wait a minute, where did I last have my wallet? So I'm backtracking and I get back home and our concierge said, oh, Ms. Harwick, there was some guy that was basically homeless, but that's not quite how he described it. That's what it was. Found your wallet. And I was like, what? So thankful that I found my wallet because, when you have to replace your credit cards and your ID, but was even more surprised when the money was still in there.
Wow.
And so then I said, well, hey, do you know who it was? And he said, no. He said, the guy said he saw the wallet, looked at it, recognized the address and brought it.
Wow.
So I was never able to identify who did it, right? But let me tell you, when I tell you I was thankful, and they could have gotten it, even if they had taken the money and they had brought everything else back, I still would have been just as happy. But it was so surprising to me to hear that someone who was already down on their luck was willing to just hand it all back over. So, that, I just really wish I could have found out who that was.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Well,
that just goes to show you.
I have found a bunch of people's stuff because I cycle, I run, I scuba dive. I find wallets, purses, watches, like Apple watches, cell phones.
Oh, wow.
I find stuff constantly and I always track the person down. I found 3 wallets so far, full of cash, credit cards. And I tracked the people down and got them back to them. And, I could only hope that kind of, putting it out there eventually might come back to me, because I'll tell you what, I have chemo brain and I drove off with my wallet on top of my car. It's still missing. It's been many months now. So now what I do is I put an air tag in it so that it'll alert me if I've left my wallet somewhere. I'll get an alert saying your wallet is not with you. And then I'll be like, and then I can press a button and it'll walk me right to where I left it. I wish I had known I knew about it, but I wish I had that before, because my wallet is still out there with all the cash and credit cards, and just bought a state park pass that's in there. And will it ever come back to me? I feel like it's on the side of the road somewhere, and nobody has found it, or I think it, I think either the credit cards would have started being used or something. So, but yeah, I think I feel strongly that when you help others, that it comes back to you.
Yes, I'm sure that too. Yeah, sure.
What about Rose and Steve?
Say what?
What about Rose and Steven?
Yeah.
What do you all
We
think?
have no ethics. No. It's funny, I'm going back to the wallet story. I was gonna mention this, but y'all, several of you had the same experience. I was, we spend our Thanksgiving week typically at Fort Wilderness in Disney. And one of my assignments is to pick up the oysters for the first night of our camping stay,
Ooh.
where we shuck oysters and have all kinds of fun. So I went to a place that's a go-to place in Orlando, has awesome oysters, although not as good as up here, and left my wallet on the back of the truck, fell into the middle of the road, had probably easily $700 or $800 in it because it was the beginning of that trip. And $100 for oysters was in there. And a homeless person found it, and I had a business card in there. So they actually called my office, and Steve and Ann answered the phone and was able to contact me. And at that point I was frantic. I realized it was missing and literally met the guy on the side of the road. The wallet had been run over by a car and the contents scattered. So this guy picked up everything and put it back in there. I gave him a couple $100. I think,
Wow.
but that it's stunning how just pure that person was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow.
See?
I've never had that happen, but that's quite something.
Yeah.
When I've lost something, it stayed lost. And not
I've been very lucky. As someone mentioned, I mean, it's one thing to lose the cash, it's another thing to have to figure out your credit cards and
Mhm.
Tell me
what
about
was
it.
in there to replace it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay, so here's a time for self-reflection.
Okay.
Do you always make the difficult choice? Have you ever? You don't have to answer out loud. Matter of fact, I prefer that you don't answer out loud.
Mhm.
Have you ever lied to your mother?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Cheated on your taxes?
No.
Nope.
Lied not to hurt someone's feelings?
Yep.
Blame someone else? You did.
Nope.
Taking a sick day when you wasn't sick?
Nope.
Snuck in concert?
Nope.
Told a white lie?
Sure. What
Yeah,
you want?
right. Yeah. Well,
Read someone's text messages without permission?
No.
Oh, come on.
I would measure.
Come on. That's not right.
That's not right.
Yeah, it is. If it's something that would protect her, if it's something that will protect her, then absolutely.
So we'll bend the rules when it's something.
Well, sure.
Somebody said.
Well, so like if your mother is going through her own medical crises and she's in advanced stages of whatever,
Right.
and then you get a diagnosis that would just
Take her down.
take her down. It would kick her in the gut. And no, you don't say, you don't add that burden to her.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree with you, but I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm. Of
you always make ethical decisions.
course not. We're not saints yet.
I like that. Have you ever had an accident and not reported?
Oh,
Nope. You have?
Yeah, too.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, yeah, you see a lot of folks that they have offended vendors and they don't want to report them in their insurance.
Right.
Mm.
Because it may take their, I don't know if you increase their premium, not just the premium that, what they have to pay.
Deductible?
The deductible, right, deductible. Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever cheated on a significant other?
Of course
Nope.
not. Not.
Taking supplies from your job.
Every day.
I work for myself, so, you know.
Even the interesting thing that that's interesting that you bring that, because you never think about it. You may bring a writing pad home, a couple of pens,
Mhm.
they belong to the office, do they not?
Just a couple of them.
Right.
You're not
9
furnishing your
laptops,
own home office, because the company supplies.
those 9 laptops, you know, I.
But have you ever broke a promise? So.
I don't make promises that I can't keep.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Well, I try not to.
You will not hear me say I promise unless I really, like, I know that I can deliver. Mhm.
Are there any questions? That concludes our ethical presentation today.
All right.
Hopefully you leave here today feeling more ethical and willing to make better choices, particularly lying to your mother.
I'm not, I feel no,
No qualms about it.
I feel no qualms at all about lying to my mother to protect her.
I don't either.
Mhm.
And I get it.
Mhm.
I get it. Any other questions? Anybody have any comments? They'd like to share a story.
Enjoyed it, and laughing, looking back,
Mhm.
you know, remembering some things over the years. It's good, good, good relax.
Stephen, Rose, any of you have any comments or stories you want to share?
No, I think this is very good.
Yeah.
And I liked Gabrielle's comment about being careful about promises, because I think many of us have been a little too, trying to be nice or over pleasing or whatever, and you promise something, but when you get down to it, it really wasn't 100% in your control. And so I think that's something to be careful of.
Yeah. Overcommitment promises at work are probably things that all of us have run up against, where
Mhm.
your intentions are there, but you're overcome by externalities.
Yeah.
Stephen, I promise I'll meet you at Warhorse sometime this week. There are some promises I can keep.
Wait, is that a date?
I don't know, are we coworkers?
Between coworkers?
We are, but it's not that kind of date. It's a date to commiserate.
To commiserate.
This goes back over to whoever's in charge.
Who's in charge?
Mr. President.
Mr. President, take it away.
All right. Well, does anybody have anything else? Any other announcements or anything? All right. I won't beat the election thing because we'll send that out via email, and everybody who's on here knows it. And if you're listening to this on Wednesday or Thursday morning, by all means, reach out if you've got any interest, and even if it's after that. But we'll be sending more information about that and looking forward into April and beyond. So anybody have any announcements or anything?
None from me.
All
That's
right.
it, Rose. I just sent you an email during the meeting, so yes, we would love to
Okay.
have you serve as well as Latrell. We would love to have you. So think about
All right.
that.
Well, thank
Get in touch with us. Tell us what you're interested in, and we are in a period of transition with this chapter, and I think that it will be great to get some new people with leadership skills and who want to grow with the chapter and help shape its future. We, some of us have been here for a very, very, very long time, and we've seen it in its heyday, and we've seen it, not so heyday. And I think COVID definitely impacted things, but I think the future is bright. By the way, the interest in the room here is with my dog. So my dog is making his rounds here in my pet-friendly workplace. But anyway, there are a lot of opportunities, including with national, once you serve, and those include scholarship opportunities. I shared that with Latrell before Rose came on, but a lot of scholarship opportunities to go to events and interact with other professionals in other states. And it really is a great organization. There's a reason that those of us who've been here a really, really long time are still here.
Yeah.
And so I just think, and I think Stephen and James and I are all on the same page that we think that new people coming in and new energy and, bringing in people who are wanting to help shape the future of this chapter would be a really, really good thing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. So, all right. Well, thanks, everybody. We will
Thanks,
talk
guys.
to you all again soon. Have a good one. And thanks for
Thank
attending.
you.
Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Thank you to our speaker.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you very
thank you.
much.
You're welcome.
It was awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.